Welcome to part 2 of our discussion of the film Metropolis. I'll look for video part 1 to discuss some of the themes that we see. So one of the things that we can really look at as a filmmaking technique is the idea of light, how light is used in the film Metropolis. So light, as you can see by this quote by this film critic, last name of Barsom, light is more just than the requirement for a decent exposure to make things visible in your movie. Light is also a source of storytelling techniques. It can be used to create mood, reveal character, and convey meaning. The way that we see lighting work in the movie is a way that we can understand character, meaning, and tone. So, here's an example of light being used in the film. All right? A really clear example. It's from when Rotwang is chasing down Maria in the caves before he hauls her up to his laboratory. If you go back and watch this scene, watch the way that light is being used. All right? We have Maria with the single candle compared to Rotwang's vision of a modern candle, the flashlight. All right? And notice how the flashlight is more powerful. It's a stronger beam. It's a lantern sort of light thing. And then look at the way that it's framed when you see that image of Rotwang shining it at you, the audience. In that middle frame, we are now in Maria's point of view. That is why the rest of that scene, we don't need to see Rotwang chasing after her a whole bunch. We just see the light kind of zipping towards her, because that's the power of Rotwang's vision. That's his sort of intense scientific danger shining down on her in the darkness. So this is a good example of how we use light to understand what's going on. Our character that we like is being chased by our scary bad character. And the use of light, the use of filmmaking techniques, lets us know he's a scary bad man. Another example of how light is used excellently. If we contrast the scene in which Maria tells to the workers the story of their mediator, and we see her framed very angelic, we see her costumed to make you think of, the Virgin Mary, you had all the crosses in the background, right? And then we have Robo Maria doing her enticing dance that drives the elites mad and unleashes the 7 deadly sins upon the elites, causing them to turn on each other with violence and all sorts of stuff. So we see Maria framed these two ways, all right? And if we look at the light in these two scenes and compare them, all right, good Maria, bathed in a spotlight that shows her face, places her in a welcoming, soft light, that fuzziness around her of the spotlight, all right? It reinforces her holiness, her goodness, how she's lit like that, like the light of heaven is literally shining down on her. Reverse, Evil Maria doing her Evil Maria sexy robot dance. All right, she's lit from behind so that you see in shadow. All right, so you see her form. All right, you see her dangerous sexuality that she uses to drive the men of the club mad. And also, whenever you tend to backlight somebody, you will often then make a more villainous approach because it's somebody moving and they're bathed in shadow, as opposed to when you put light on. That's always a way that makes them feel good. So, that is just 2 examples. If you look at the way light is used and showed on people and revealed to people and how people are framed by the light in the film, you can find a ton of other examples where a light is used to reveal character. Next sort of filmmaking technique will be the illusion of movement. All right, the illusion of movement is how films trick us by showing one action connected to another action for the use of editing. All right, so if we think of this, that when you watch a movie, things do not happen one after another. They're kind of happening at the same time, but we can't watch a movie all at the same time. So that's why we'll cut back and forth, or we'll have things come before and after. And if we know in real life, that would all be happening kind of concurrently. So this persistence of vision allows for the illusion of succession. Oftentimes you can see it broadly talked about as an idea of montage in a lot of critical writing about film, though that is a different sort of technique. But even your natural editing moments in film give you the idea of movement, of figures or objects being juxtaposed together without actually moving, with nothing actually happening. But by editing the film to show you two things, your brain creates a persistence of vision. Your brain retains the movement. So here are some examples of movement that we can see: the illusion of movement, the illusion of succession. You could go watch the clip, but essentially it's about Maria's dancing scene. We'll probably look at this together ourselves next week. But the illusion of movement is they cut to the men's faces, all right, and then back to Maria. And then in each of those three cuts, the faces get a little closer, a little closer, a little closer, even though the men themselves are not actually moving. What is happening is the illusion of movement. And that illusion of the faces getting closer and closer and closer to us lets us know that the men are becoming more and more entrapped by the seductive dance of Maria. Their seven deadly sins, their unleashed passion is going to go crazy, even if they're not moving. But by show Maria dancing, and each cut brings them closer, gives us that illusion. All right, and here we can see it sort of played out if you watch the video. All right, notice how all these scenes are intercut. All right, and so as we see Maria dancing, all right, we start to get this movement like where the men are coming closer to her, but it's the camera moving. All right, the men aren't moving, but their passions and their spirit and their attention is moving. So this is a good example of what we think of the illusion of movement. Nobody's really moving here except Maria. But the way that the camera edits the scene makes us think and feel like the audience is also moving. And so that's what we mean by an illusion of movement. Last one we're going to look at is space and time. So movies manipulate space and time in unique ways. All right. Quoting a film critic named Panofsky, Barsom again sort of writes, "The dynamization of space and the spatialization of time. The spatial relationship on the screen may constantly change, and the film directs your gaze. Movies give time to space and space to time." So what does that mean? All right, we kind of looked at the first example, that illusion of movement. All right, that gives, time to space. It makes us seem like actions are happening when they are not. Next is the space to time. What we could think of when we think of the dynamization of space. When we watch a movie, space is not fixed. The camera moves and can move in almost any direction. As you sit here now and you look around, all right, everything in your room where you're watching this will stay where it is. The only way for you to change your vision is to get up and get closer to it, and you actually have to move. When we watch a film, the camera can go anywhere instantly, and that gives us the ability to juxtapose a lot of different spaces and times to create meaning. So, for example, here we have the laboratory scene where Maria is transformed into the Machine Man, Robo Maria. All right, we have all of these scenes intercut. And so what we see is the camera's lens and our attention being focused on different parts of the room. And each one of these is in a different location. All right, if you were trying to imagine yourself as existing inside the world of the camera and looking at this, you could not see all of these things in the speed and quickness that you can in terms of the movie. It shows us the corner of the laboratory, then we get a pullback shot, then we get a shot of the robot, and the shot of Maria, and back to the robot. Rotwang's doing stuff. All right, it spatializes the activity. All right? We don't just focus on Maria's transformation. The camera bops us all around the room, all right, to show us the gravitas of the scientific horror that is the creation of the machine woman, machine man. Right? Again, another sort of example of the dynamization of space. All right? If you think here, the logic of the space here isn't really changing. Only our perception of it is changing via the close-ups. All right? Imagine this scene where the children are running out and the flood is starting to happen. If Lang just locked the camera way up and just looked down at it, and you just saw it all play out here. How different would that feel than jumping us all around, from the factory to seeing the leaks, to a close-up of Maria's horror at the situation, to the next jump cut of the kid running down the stairs and the kid fleeing the water. Little known scene, if you look at this picture, this kid is terrified because it was a legitimately terrifying scene for them. You know, and then we get a wide shot, and then an established shot of the building, then a close-up of this kid getting doused, and then back to the miniatures and the hands. All of this creates a montage of scenes cut together that allows us to experience the space by moving around. And that is unique to film. How film can show us what's happening at any given moment from any given perspective is a big part of what makes movies movies. Think about the film as a whole. Think how many different perspectives we have on the drama of Metropolis. We have Frater's perspective. Then we'll flip back to his dad's, and then to Rotwang's, and then to the workers, then to Robo Maria, then to Evil Maria, and then back to Frater. And then we have them all come together at the end. All right? It's showing us the different perspectives happening in the story. And the way it can do that is tied to the fact that it is a movie. All right, that's our discussion of Metropolis. We will talk about it live, face-to-face, in person next week. I hope you enjoyed the film, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts about it.